Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for everyone that's joined this session. I'm Greg and from Infigo Software. I'll introduce myself in a second. As you see here, scale and success. This is our company motto for this year for us at Infigo. And we're not just talking about how we are scaling our business and making our business successful, but also how we're helping our customers scale their businesses and make their businesses successful using web to print. So today's presentation is all about what we call successful web to print. So who am I? I'm head of customer success at Infigo. I've been with the business now since 2014. My journey has been that I've actually come from an Infigo customer, one of Douglas's first ever installs, where Sam works, at the Printed Words, and I'm now head of customer success. I'm very much a customer-centric creative. My background is as a designer. That's what my education, my degree was in industrial design, and I've always had a bit of an inclination to understand more about the technology from the manufacturing, the production side of things. I've always found that interesting. I think that's always relayed over the top of what I now do in my role. I'm very much, I'd classify myself as a B2B web print expert. One of the things I enjoy working about at Infigo is seeing firsthand when customers implement the product properly, but also when the whole business implements the product properly. And what we mean by that is how it's adapted and adopted across the organisation, and not just one individual person or team. It's the whole business has got to understand the value that web to print is going to drive to the organisation. But it's not just me. There's 10 of us from Infigo here today. They're not all in the room at the moment, but just a bit of an introduction, because there's going to be lots of faces that you guys will see and maybe pick some brains later on. But you obviously saw the charismatic Douglas on stage earlier. You can't get a microphone out of the bloke's hand. He's our CEO and founder. Alex is our technical operations director. Myself, we've got Chris, who's our head of marketing. Carissa, who is our North American marketer. Hannah is our head of support at the back of the room with her little team. We've got Antonia over here, who's our partnership growth manager. Ashley, one of our technical support analysts, also at the back. Rob, who's one of our newest hires, customer success manager. And James as well, technical support analyst. So a real mixture today. So if you see any of us and you've got questions that come up about web to print or automation, come find us, grab us and have a chat. So as I mentioned, today's all about hashtag successful web to print, and it's a topic that I've spoken about a lot. I do a lot of workshops with HP to try and enlighten people about where web to print can take your business. And today we're going to be focusing on strategies and growth ideas to maximise your web to print platform. So we've got some customers in the room today. We've got some non-Infigo users in the room today. So I'm going to be talking about this generally rather than just focusing just on our product, but it overlays across the both. If at any point you've got any questions that pop up, just please raise your hand and we can stop that section. We can answer any questions then, and we'll do some questions at the end as well. So we focus on 3 key areas with our platform. And this should be the same irrelevant of whichever platform you're using. We've got to look at how something is easy to build, it's easy to sell, and it's easy to scale. From our standpoint, easy to build is something that Roger mentioned on the panel earlier. Roger's been an Infigo customer now for about 4 or 5 years, and he touched on it, that he can roll a storefront out for a new customer in under an hour. He can have a storefront up and running in the customer's hands, and that is so important in this day and age, that you can get the technology in front of someone to enable them to start placing orders in an efficient manner. And we understand, based on the way that the industry is, the way the world is, that you need to be able to act upon the demand. We've put a lot of new features and functionality into our platform, which is invaluable to our customers, to allow them to build storefronts in a quick and efficient manner by trying to make the whole process simplified. We had a lot of user feedback over the years that some things were elongated. Mel, I think you're a classic example of this. You left the print company you worked for and then came back and you saw 2 very much different products, right? And it's so important to us that we continue to evolve the product and make it more simplified. The next bit is easy to sell. We've got to make sure that our platform for our customers, our PSPs, is easy to sell to their customers, whether it's a B2B opportunity or if it's a B2C and you're selling a product to the end user. We've got to make sure it's easy to sell. And then finally, as we talk about scaling success, this opportunity has got to be very scalable. So this is something that we really look at in these 3 different areas. So if we just look generally at web to print, it's typically used for one of these main outcomes. So saving money by making your existing customers more efficient within their ordering journey, making new money by new revenue opportunities, saving money by making your production workflow a lot more efficient, and obviously that's the whole premise of this event today. And then finally, to make your customers more sticky, and that's a term we use a lot in Infigo, to make our customers sticky to us and our application, but making your customers more sticky to your business to provide a more attractive value proposition. So to start with, we're going to take a look at saving money by making existing customers more efficient in their ordering journey. And I'm going to introduce you to my mate, John the Plumber. Okay? So who's John the Plumber and why on earth am I talking about him? So John is this guy that orders from your business 2 or 3 times a year. He's ordering his business cards and maybe some leaflets, and then maybe at Christmas he'll get some Christmas cards for his regular customers. But John isn't a print buyer. He'll fix your boiler, he's good at that, but he doesn't understand print. He's never gonna be a print buyer. He's gonna be a bit of a pain to deal with. John doesn't have his own artwork. He doesn't understand paper stocks. You're gonna give him a quote. He's gonna have no idea what you're actually talking about in that. John is costing you money to have as a customer. And we're really trying to change this mentality now, that we don't just want to say, thanks for your business over the years, John, our business has changed, we need to move away from it. But we need to find a way that we can help John and all of the other smaller customers that you will still want the revenue from, but you need to turn them into a profitable revenue stream rather than something that is not making you any money. We recently had one of our customers in America contact us and rang me up and said, Greg, at long last, we've just made profit on a $19 business card order. And the whole reason from that was because they had finally automated their workflow. They'd taken their Infigo storefront, they pushed it into Enfocus switch, that pushed it out to their MIS, went the whole way. No one touched that job until it came off the press ready for finishing. And they had finally realized worked out a way where they could make that as a profitable order. And that really is the whole premise of this, because if you think about all of the customers that you're having to get involved in, and you times them up, this is a lot of manual touches that you'll probably still have within your business today. We need to be making full use of the technology to be able to maximize the opportunity. So as you see at the top there, the goal of this whole model is saving time and making money while securing that existing revenue. So how do you go about it? So the storefront, branded as yourself as the PSP, or as maybe a sub-brand, maybe you come up with a name of this concept, Print Hub or My Online Orders, whatever that might be, something a bit more creative than what I've just said then. And what we're trying to do is turning these small jobs into profitable ones by removing the account management, removing the back and forth quoting, the hand holding, the emails that you're gonna get back and forth with proofs and job specifications, and you're gonna turn John into a self-service customer. You're gonna have just one single storefront servicing many clients. We've got one of our customers here today. They've got 195 different end companies log into one individual storefront. It's branded as their print company at the top level. It's not unique, it's not individually branded, it's just branded as them. 195 different end businesses log in and place orders. They've got one storefront as an overhead, but servicing that many customers. And then you look at that versus then the amount of volume they get through those 195, and the majority of their products that they sell on that storefront are business cards. It's a really simple ordering process, but they've set themselves up to scale that opportunity. They don't have the overhead of having to go and build another storefront every time that there's a new customer that comes on and is interested in the technology. So instead they use this single storefront approach. And what do you get off the back of that? Well, you're going to save time, and that's going to allow your CSR, your account manager, your salesperson to actually concentrate on more valuable and more profitable tasks back to your business. And that's essentially what we're trying to achieve. You empower these people and give them the time to go and find more value to bring back. Everyone's a winner. And the way that the strategy around this that we're advising people is, maybe a lot of people think web to print, right, let's look at our big customers and get them sorted. Actually go the opposite. Look at the bottom 10% of your repeat customers and start onboarding them onto this new method. And actually, I was speaking to another customer recently. They said they've now set up this model. They're a recent web adopter of our platform. They're a long-term web print user, but a recent adopter of our platform. They said every time they get an order from someone that fits that mold of a John the Plumber, they place an order on their behalf by setting them up as a user on the storefront. So they actually go say, right, this is what you're going to order. I'm going to log in, I'm going to create the product up. Here's your username and password. So the next time you're going to place an order, you're going to log into the storefront and do it yourself. The other thing that you can do by putting them onto this storefront is you can then look at refining your pricing model. Because you're cutting out that account management, you're cutting out the human touch essentially, you might actually be able to change your pricing model slightly to fit that mold of customer. So a question to you guys to think about is how many John the Plumbers are you working with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? And then think about how that can then overlay into your world of web to print or potential web to print. The next area we'll look at is then making money via new revenue opportunities. So, as I was mentioning earlier on our easy to build, easy to sell, easy to scale. From the easy to build, we've got to be able to provide technology to our users and our prospective users, allowing you to react to the market and to the client's demands. And that's what we've been working on to simplify the way that our platform can be built and rolled out to the end user. I'm going back 13 years now when I used to work at the Printed Word, and we had just built this storefront for a local Ford dealership. It was a franchise in Sussex, and we went over to one of the offices to meet with the marketing manager of the franchise. And we sat down and we were demonstrating the portal to them for the first time. And all we had on this storefront was business cards. All the web print was used for. And we sat there and I had Rob, who was the account manager salesperson with me, and the marketing manager went to grab something. So I turned to Rob and I said, they've got all of this printed items all around us. There was brochures on the desk. There was pull-up banners behind the desk we were sat at. There was PVC or vinyl banners outside and inside. There was the hangers inside the cars. And I said, why do we not print any of this stuff? And he went, I was thinking the exact same thing. And he said, I'm going to ask her. So she came back and he just went, who's printing your brochures? She went, well, you can't do it, can you? You just print business cards. And that was this person's perception that we could only print business cards because she didn't know otherwise. So what we're really trying to educate people on is actually showcasing your full range of products on your storefront. So it might be that you're trying to sell product A, but actually having other products on your storefront. So Tim and Louise are going to pick on you guys. So Tim and Louise are from Precision Card Services, got it right then. And they sell cards, previously plastic cards, but they're now much more eco business. So hotel cards, loyalty cards, that side of things. But you also have ancillary products on your website, right? You have the print machines that they can, you've got lanyards, you've got all of these other products. It's not just that one individual product, because people are going to come to that website thinking I'm buying plastic cards, but what else are they going to need that then accompanies that product? And it's the same when you're looking at a B2B portal. They might be set up looking for just their business cards or just their corporate brochure or their roller banner, but actually you should be showing that maybe in the Q4 you want to have calendars on there, so you can add a corporate calendar that can be produced, and having these upsell products that maybe aren't quite branded and set up for that unique opportunity, but you're putting that in their vision. So if you think traditional bricks and mortar, you walk into a store, you see all the products there and you think, right, that's the one I'm going to buy. So you've got to try and take some of that mentality and put that into your web print storefront, as well as making sure you're showing other products within your and services within your capabilities so they can see that and execute from it. Something that's often overlooked is actually reviewing your existing accounts and looking to grow them with web to print. A lot of people again think, right, no, they've always been an offline customer and they'll always remain as an offline customer, but actually dig a bit deeper into it. And going back to that Ford dealership that we went to, that's what we ended up doing. We reviewed them as an existing account. We worked out what else we could actually be manufacturing for them. And that ended up as a portfolio that we could grow out. And that's something that I think a lot of people overlook because they're always just looking at the latest product of that one single opportunity, but it's actually opened and widened the horizon more. Creating a demo storefront is the first thing we ask every customer that joins Infigo now to do. And the reason for that is if you've got this new bit of technology within your armory, you need to be able to showcase that to the people that you want to be using it. So what we say is actually don't build a storefront where you can get trained, that it sits there forever and never gets touched. Actually create a demo storefront, whether it's a fictional brand or branded as your company, and have your sales and business development teams make sure they're fully up to speed on every single bit of functionality that's been set up on that storefront, because they're the people that's likely to be out there demonstrating it. We say, and we do this for every new member of staff that joins Infigo, we task them with the exact same thing. We say, make it your pride and joy. Don't have it as a testing area where you go and say, oh, I'm just going to change this setting and see what happens, and you forget about it. Because when you go to your next demonstration, you think, why is that not working? It's because you've changed or someone else has changed a setting. So what we say is actually, make it your pride and joy. Don't have it as a testing area. Have it as the fully finished article that you're going to continue to be proud to put in front of either your existing customers to grow the opportunity or to prospective customers to win new business from. The next one's fairly obvious, but we talk about it anyway, generating marketing materials. So whether it's white papers, whether it's video content, whether it's brochures that can be easily shared with clients. And it's something that we're going to be doing a lot of in the next 12 months at Infigo, is generating more of this content, but in a white label approach, so that our customers can take it, you can repurpose it to use that as part of your sales pitching as well. So we want to make sure that we're giving as much to our users for them to be able to generate more out of it as well, but making sure that you are utilizing that content. And then finally, question I get asked a lot, if we go back to the John the Plumber model versus maybe we call that shared storefront versus a dedicated storefront. Let's say Coca-Cola knocked on your door and said, we'd like you to, you're doing all the print for Coca-Cola and you want them to have their own online portal. The likelihood is they're going to have a fairly decent print expenditure with you and they're going to warrant their own dedicated storefront solution. And a lot of people say, Greg, how do I work out if someone's a shared storefront versus a dedicated storefront? And there's not a one size fits all formula or approach to this, but a few customers have worked out a financial value where they say, if our turnover or transactions through the site is X per year, then they'll go on the shared storefront. But if it's over X, they'll go on their own dedicated storefront. For the purpose of this presentation, I put over 50 grand, dedicated storefront. And again, it's that thinking because dedicated storefront means a lot more overhead in terms of that initial setup. So then we look at saving money by making your production workflow more efficient. The whole purpose and content of today is the talk track, automate print. This here still baffles me to this day, okay? Web to print, people always just think web to print is about an online portal or a storefront. The web 2 bit is the thing that everyone gets excited about, but they often forget print. And it's so important that if you haven't got these two things talking to one another, it's web to nowhere, as someone said. One of our customers said web to print without the automation is web to nowhere, and it's so true. You've got to make sure that your production workflow is integrated as part of your proposition, because otherwise your profitability is going to start dropping away again. As soon as humans start getting involved in it, you're losing money from the get-go. Today's demonstrations have highlighted the importance and the need for that automation. Start removing the manual touches. You're going to get some efficiency gains. That's going to increase your profitability, but it's also going to speed up your orders as well. It means you're going to get more in and out of the business in a much easier and efficient manner. We talk about, and Alex was on stage this morning, was talking about our the workflow within Infigo. We've got integrations with Enfocus with their pre-flighting technology, for example. So we've got pit stop that runs within Infigo. We can be pre-flighting assets on the storefront. So whether it's files being uploaded by the consumer, whether it's them designing online and then something needs to happen to the files on output, and we can then re-trigger the file, we can re-render it based on some production requirements. So actually having the pre-flighting upstream takes a lot of the stress out of your production team, because they're not getting jobs back and forth. Stuff's having to put on hold before it can then go into production because they found an issue. Goes all the way back round to the customer again, back to the start, resubmit the file. So actually trying to speed that side of things up as well is going to generate a lot easier and a lot more profitable jobs. Probably one of the most important ones actually is the improved data accuracy and error reduction. Obviously, if you're taking the data straight out of your web to print into your MIS system, into your workflow, and that is a digital handshake and not someone just manually keying it, you're going to remove the error that could be put in by human intervention. So actually, you're going to streamline that as well by removing those manual touches, improve your data, reduce your errors. One of the big things that I mentioned earlier about the web to print workshops that I run at HP, the icebreaker we do at the start, and this is something I'd strongly recommend everyone in this room today to have a think about when you go back to your businesses, is we do this thing called the touchpoint challenge. So what we do is we get you to literally get a sheet of paper out and draw a line right down the middle of it. And at the top of the sheet of paper, at the top of your line, you're going to say order in, and at the bottom you're going to say order or goods in customer's hand. And you're going to put every single step that it takes for that job to go through, from the order coming into your business to the client ending up with that finished item in their hands. And then get your red pen and start going through and working out all of the times that there's a manual touch as part of that flow. And where do you start saving that time? And then we can come in and help you with this, and we overlay web to print on top of that and say, actually, we can see that at the moment, this job ticket goes from here to there. And that takes 5 minutes into the flow. And then you times all those up, that means 27 minutes from a job from top to bottom, but there's 20 manual touches throughout that whole process. How many of those touches can we remove? There's one of our customers, and we went in to see them a few years ago, and in their mezzanine floor, they'd just drilled this massive hole. We're like, what on earth have they done? And essentially, they'd realized that it took them 2 or 3 minutes a job to take a job ticket from their MIS, down the stairs, down to the production team. And they drilled a hole, and they literally put a bucket on a pulley job tickets went into this bucket, and they realised they were saving 2 or 3 minutes a job with someone going up and down these stairs, times the amount of jobs they were doing. This is a seriously automated business as well, and so manual that they've just gone, whole mezzanine floor, job done. And all those 2 minutes per job has saved them so much time and effort back in. So it's those little things that we can look at, we can help, we can advise and guide to see on your current touch points where we can try and make you more streamlined in that approach. So this is a recent item at Infigo, and it's something we launched at the tail end of last year called the Infigo Academy. The Infigo Academy is our new educational offering to bring content into our customers' hands a lot easier, a lot quicker, to go back to that whole easy to build, easy to sell, easy to scale model. So we employed a chap called Sam, who's our Academy manager, and Sam has recorded over 150 videos of how to use our platform. It's not gated, so the guys in the room today that aren't Infigo users yet, and you want to learn more and see our platform in action, you're more than welcome to look on the Infigo Academy YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see how do I do this or how do I do that. And for the Infigo customers that are in the room that hasn't seen the Academy yet, the Infigo Academy channel on YouTube. The feedback we've had has been excellent because it's allowed more individual people within the print organisation to be skilled on Infigo. Quite often it's a very siloed approach that there's the one person responsible for web to print or maybe 2 people. We want to share that knowledge across the business. So the Infigo Academy has been a real enabler for Infigo for that. And there's 3 elements to the Academy. So it's our gateway to continued learning. We've got our YouTube channel I mentioned then. We've now just introduced what's new emails, which are going out on a monthly basis. So every 2 weeks we push updates out of our platform. So our deployments might contain new features, improvements to existing features, but we now send out these emails so that customers can make use of these in a meaningful way. So rather than just being we've changed the button color from blue to red, it's we've improved this feature, this is how you implement it, and this is what it's going to mean to your business. So rather than trying to make it more educational, more enticing for you to actually make use of these things. And we're also going to be hosting monthly product webinars with the first one next month. So for those that haven't seen it, there's an email that's gone out and we can follow up if you haven't received it, but a monthly product focused webinar so that you can be making sure that you're using all of the latest technology that we're bringing to market. And that is me. So does anyone have any questions for me or for anyone in the room? We actually didn't, but we are HubSpot users, and we told you about it. No, we good. Yeah, you? Not so good. Good. Okay. No, the Academy is something that we'd wanted to do, and I think Douglas made mention of it earlier, that we wanted to change the way that we trained customers by trying to do more group training, and I was very against it. I was personally trained as part of a group when I was an Infigo customer, and I didn't like it at all. I had my specific needs, and now that our kind of horizon's been broadened, and we work with labels and packaging and like yourselves, card manufacturing, rather than just general commercial print, everyone's needs and wants are slightly different, and the questions that get answered or asked and answered during training are going to be very different based on the area of the industry you're in. And so that was always something that I was very against, but by putting training online via this means that people can find the relevant content to their business and their specific use case, and that's allowed us to really expand the way that we can get education and content in front of our users. It's something that Chris and Douglas will be talking about later, but is having the strategy and the vision for it, because without that, you're going to have this bit of technology that might be all shiny and nice, but without having the strategy behind it and how you actually get it in and adopted internally and externally, it's not going to last forever. You've got to make sure that the whole company buys into the opportunity, that the whole company understands the value of why you're doing it. Quite often we'll see there'll be a CEO or an owner that makes a purchasing decision on the platform, and the person that's actually in there setting up on a daily basis hasn't seen it until the very first training session or the first time they log in. And that's one of the most difficult things for us, is making sure that the people that are in there on a daily basis buy into the whole opportunity. So we see that as a big barrier initially. The second thing is the capacity issue, making sure that you're actually dedicating time and resource to making this grow, because if you don't, it's going to sit there as a failed adoption. You've got to make sure that you're continually investing in that. And that doesn't have to be monetary investment, but time investment is the most important thing. And I learned that firsthand when I was first trained on Infigo. Ian, who used to work at Infigo, my predecessor, he came along and did the initial training session with me, and he said, right, Greg will be back next Friday and we'll do the second training session. So that was great. And Ian turned up and he went, right, I want you to just show me what we did last week. And all I was meant to be doing was making my business card a variable product. Again, we're talking 15 years ago now. And sat there and went, no idea how to do it. And to prove a point, Infigo actually charged a printed word a whole nother day of training to say, you've invested all this money up front, unless you're going to invest in the time to make this work, you're never going to make this work. And I think that was a real wake-up call for the business at the time, because they realised actually, yeah, we have spent a chunk of cash on this. We need to make this actually a really good investment. And that's just not the money up front, but it's our ongoing time investment. And that's probably where we see, you might build your first storefront and think, right, that's me, but we want you to continue to explore the depths of your customer base to understand who else can be using the technology, and reviewing and refining the technology and making it better and better, both for yourselves internally, refining that production process, the automation, but also refining the offering back to your users as well. One of the most important bits, but also one of the most missed elements. Yeah, I think, obviously we sat down, when the pandemic first hit, we sat down as a team and we worked out what we needed to do to safeguard our business. And what that meant was ultimately making sure we keep hold of customers. And to do that, we had to put in the technology in place to allow people to build these storefronts quickly. And that was one of the biggest things that we had to act upon in a really quick manner. So going back to what Roger said, building a storefront in under an hour, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that would have taken a couple of days to spin up a storefront. And we've needed to react on that. I think people have then realised, and they've become more inclined to go, actually, yeah, I can roll this technology out now in a much quicker fashion and a more polished experience without the need for technical expertise. So actually, I think it's helped us to help our customers more, but more so because there's less staff in a lot of the organisations that we work with now, is making sure that and it goes back to the automation piece, is making sure that the technology isn't siloed. It's got to talk to other systems, where previously there was that person that would manually move the job around the factory. You're actually relying on the technology to get things from start to finish. Any? So we see a bit of a mixture in terms of our customer base. We've got some people, it's marketing personnel that are responsible for web to print. Other people, we have full-on development teams that will sit and run it. I suppose a bit of a hybrid of someone that can understand, well, in an ideal world, some kind of front-end development framework, CSS or HTML or JavaScript, so that they can really empower the front end, but also someone that understands that production workflow, because again, the importance as we're talking about. In terms of our product setup and template setup, we've got scripting capabilities that you can add into your template. So we've got a scripting engine or a scripting layer as part of our 𝐁𝐵𝐸𝐷it editor. So having JavaScript knowledge is a plus point, but it's by no means a requirement. And again, going back to us trying to simplify the technology to roll it out, things like our Invent plugin for 𝐁𝐵𝐸𝐷it. Invent's a plugin for InDesign to create your variable templates. That could just be an artwork or a creative that could be running that side of things. So a bit of a mixture in terms of personnel, but I'd say the sweet spot is someone that's maybe got that print experience, but also a development mindset, I think is a good place to be at. Anyone else? So pre-COVID, we used to get you into our office and we'd sit you down for 3 days and we would go from start to finish. So you're looking at 25 hours worth of training, and then just ongoing self-learning as well. Now that we're going via the Infigo Academy setup, we've broken the training down rather than having that classroom style approach. We've actually broken the videos down into 4, 5, 6 minute chunks. So you're learning specific areas, because we realized that we were training a lot of different areas or content blocks that wasn't applicable for every single user or business. So now I'd say if you had 8 to 10 hours worth of education from the Academy, you would be in a position to then actually build your first storefront. And that was one thing that we looked at when we developed the Academy, is creating these individual kind of talk tracks or playlists that make sense. So building your first storefront, there's a 10 video talk track there. And it's just the basics, but it's the basics to get you off the ground. And as well as the Infigo Academy video content, we've also got a knowledge base, which is full of articles, hundreds of guides and articles to help you with that ongoing journey. And that's where the self-learning side of things also comes into play. And as I mentioned, because we do deployments and updates every 2 weeks, Sam's job's never going to be finished because there's always going to be something to record, something to educate our customers about. So there's always something new to learn. And that's something we put on our customers to make sure that they're keeping up to speed with what our latest enhancements are, to make sure that they can fully utilize and benefit from them. Yeah, do it, Tim. Do you hear this? I've got this on the video recording that Tim's going to record a storefront. No, but Tim, honestly, it's yeah. And so I'll send you the talk track that you'd need to follow. But generally, we've had to position it, and obviously Alex's role within the business is looking, as you know, looking more on the technical side of things, but we've positioned it so that anyone with the organisation, as long as they've had the training, no matter what their skill set, should be able to build the foundations of a storefront. It's incredible. So actually at the Automate Print user event that we held in Vegas last year, that was us demonstrating our new the new technology we'd enabled. We call it content templates, or CMS Plus. So building a storefront in a lot more efficient manner. Now, granted, we had all the assets prepared at the right size. We knew the size we needed, the logo, the banner images, the content blocks that we were going to have on the homepage. We built the site in 13 minutes with a template, a variable template that we built live on the screen with a 3D preview connected to it in 13 minutes. Alex is going to do it in his session in a minute, I think. No, but honestly, we've taken that, and those 13 minutes, if we went back 3.5 years, that 13 minutes would have been, including a product build and 3D preview on it, you're looking at easily 3 days. Yeah. And we know it's not always going to be 13 minutes, but even, as Roger said, and I know I've said it a couple of times in this presentation so far, but even being able to deploy a storefront, even if it's a demo storefront, you've got someone rings you up and says, "Can I see this technology this afternoon?" And you know that you've got a few hours. You'll be able to spin up a storefront which is branded as you guys, and you know that you've been in control of it from start to finish in a much more efficient manner. And we realise the importance of that to our customers. And as I mentioned, like Alex's next session here is going to be about our roadmap and what we've got coming out, as well as some eco and sustainability projects. But it is just continuing to show what we are trying to do to improve our product to make it easier for you guys and for your users as well. So that's what we're really are focused on. Any other questions? Emma? Yes. So we are recording all 3 of the Infigo sessions today. Yeah. Only the Infigo ones are being recorded. Yeah. We're the ones that are lucky enough to have Matt with us. That doesn't mean you can go and watch the other one. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for everyone for joining. And yeah, if you've got any other questions, come and find any of us today and we'll be happy to answer any questions. So thank you very much.